Costs are a very important issue with back office work. Your margins are very small. You don't have much error. As I said, you were talking about if you make a few mistakes, it can wipe out your profits very quickly. And you've also got to keep a very open mind as to where your back office is going to be. Given that the various jurisdictions that you have, Luxembourg started off initially relatively inexpensive, able to get staff and that. Eventually your costs as an administrator just run out of control. It's something that you can't help, particularly when competitors come in, stealing staff, pushing. There's a whole cycle that goes on with salaries rising as new people coming into the marketplace. Dublin went through the same situation as well. Cheap rentals, good staff, inexpensive staff, all those kind of things, and eventually, as from an administration point, you actually find that you're actually ending up pricing yourself out the market from that particular side. Extremely difficult to actually prove where all the work is, as long as you have the records within that country. That's the major thing, and the access by any authority to the records of what is going on. You now got the concept, I think somebody described as clouds, that you have your software, etc., hosted somewhere else. You're not going to have Luxembourg saying you can't have your software hosted somewhere else like that. So you'll be splitting off quite a lot of your activities and just keeping the most essentials that they can prescribe. There's a lot of things that you do in administration which can be totally decentralized, which are not part of the full administration process.
Bernie Madoff stuff, there's a lot of pressure for companies to use third parties to validate, to use, which is great for us. And we just had a hedge fund administrative due diligence company setting up in Nova Scotia. So we're seeing a lot more of that, which is good for us. Sort of this follow the leader syndrome. Let's go to. I remember talking to firms in venture capitalists in Silicon Valley a few years ago, and their first question was to companies, "What's your India strategy?" And everybody, if you're not in India, then don't come talk to me. And so we saw this massive shift of business in India, and I think it's been a good success story, but it's not without its challenges. And if you're an executive sitting somewhere, and you have to think about what's the total cost of doing business there, and what's your flight worth, and your time away, and your distance from where your power base is. And so I think those are all things that need to be considered.
Sectors of the industry. Potentially some of the outsourcing that happened to South Africa from the Channel Islands potentially damaged its reputation because it didn't go very well, or was not perceived to go very well. I think that's very risky because where you have Pacific funds that are very unique and demand certain skills, it's very unlikely that you are going to have all those skills in one office, in one jurisdiction. Whereas if you are centralising those skills, you can actually then pull on, say you've got a real estate fund that's based in Luxembourg, a real estate fund that's based in Jersey and Guernsey, and you can actually build up a team who understand real estate funds, and then you can have the compliance and the jurisdiction to make sure it meets the rules. That will mean your error rate will decrease. If you have it split across all three jurisdictions and nobody actually really understands real estate, then you've got a big risk, and that potentially could lead to lots of losses.
The other danger with that kind of approach is as well, and the Bank of Bermuda recognised that early on, was that if you start having totally separate offices, the likelihood is you will have clients who are using you in different offices and are getting totally different levels of service, or you even start having style drift in what your services are. This office is offering that, this one's not offering that. You're going to have a conflict with your client at one stage. He says, you're not up to it there, you're not up to it there, etc.
And what we're seeing now is signs of some upward movement. There's going to be a lot of pressure on these companies with respect to costs, and my fear is that that becomes so overriding that they start to make decisions based solely on cost, and which may come back to haunt them down the road. because I think cost is only one element of a decision, whether it's a hedge fund manager or administrator. There's a lot of things that have to go into the pot to make a decision, and if you want to do something for the right reason for a long time, you have to do it properly and give thought to all the factors that are involved. And if they do that, then then the strong organizations will become even stronger.
I think for us, well, firstly, I wanted to just reiterate what some of the other guys have said. The decision is based mainly on quality rather than just pure economics, where you have your base. And for us, if that changes, then we will look to change where we operate. So for us, we've tried to build up sector skills in our operation to make sure that we are the best we can be in those areas, and that quality is what we use as a marketing tool and sells itself for getting us business. Now, if that situation means that there's somewhere better to be based and Nova Scotia suddenly becomes an offshore jurisdiction, as you were implying a moment ago, then we would look at that. But for the moment, we're quite happy with our operating model. It works very well, and our client feedback is very positive.